who ISIS were. I understood what jihad was. What shocked me after October 7th, it wasn't what Hamas done. I know what they want to do. You know what they want to do. I know that your country is surrounded by jihad. I know that they would love to pillage and rape and murder their way through this beautiful nation. What shocked me was the response across the West. I guess it shocked all of you. By October... It took 50 years to for people to start denying the Holocaust. It took days for them to start denying October 7th. Now, as Israel faced the biggest attack, in days, they were celebrating in my capital city, in every single Western nation's capital city. I'd say that Israel has lost the propaganda war. Considering people say Israel or Jews are in control of the media, they're not doing a very good job, okay? Because literally the next day we saw in every Western capital city what you witnessed in our capital city, what I witnessed and what the public witnessed was the takeover of our capital city every Saturday for over a year. Hamas supporters, Hezbollah flags, ISIS flags, Hamas flags, slogans, dressed up, terrorist chants. The shocking thing was the government and the police's response, as literally they were given full reign of the capital city and laws were not enforced. We saw Hizb ut-Tahrir, who are now a prescribed terrorist organisation, calling for jihad, calling for Muslim armies. And when they called for Muslim armies and jihad, the Metropolitan Police Force put out a statement saying there are plenty different meanings of jihad. There may be, but not when it's from a terrorist organisation on the streets of London calling for jihad against the Jews. Now, as we witness this, which is why I want to come here today, the vocal minority have been given the voice. They've been supported by the BBC, they've been supported by the educated, they've been supported by politicians, and they've been supported by the media. I want to give you some hope, because I've had hope. I feel like I've been banging my head against a wall for a decade, trying to warn the British public about the dangers of jihad, about the dangers of Islamic supremacy. Something massive has happened in the last 18 months in Great Britain. I don't know if you've been following. I don't know if you watch British news, you would believe that the British hate the Jews. I wouldn't blame you. Yeah? You would believe that everyone in Britain is against Israel, and you would believe that everyone supports Palestine. That is because of the media portrayal. But 2 years ago we sat down, 15 of us, we had a vision that if you change the culture, you change the politics. Rather than trying to get hundreds of millions of pounds and start a political party, we wanted to give the British community and the British public back something we've lost. Something you have. You have something that brings you together. You have pride in who you are, you have your flag, you're all very patriotic. We lost that. We had lost that. And I'll give you a little explanation. I went to Poland in 2015 to attend their Independence Day. And when I stood there, 250,000 Poles, children on their shoulders, flags, flares, singing, celebrating. I stood at the front and I put my arms out and I felt something. As the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, I felt power. I felt power in them coming together, in the brotherhood, the sisterhood, in all of them understanding. And when I looked at Poland's history, they've always been outnumbered 40-1 in any battle. The biggest uprising with pitchforks to fight the Nazis happened in Warsaw. They lived under communism. They were wiped off the face of a map. They understand what it's like to fight for survival, as many of you do. They understand what it's like. And as I interviewed Polish people, they said, your older generation, they know who they are. Your younger generation, they are lost. And that is basically what's happening in Great Britain. We have been lost. We've lost our identity, we've lost our culture, and we've lost our spirit. And I was jealous. I left Poland jealous. And I'd never experienced that. And then we started with a vision. We got 15, whether you call them influencers, journalists, the people who have been attacked, and we've sat down and said, let's agree on 5 things. Let's not talk about what we disagree with, because we'll disagree on a lot. Let's talk about the fact that British culture is under threat. Free speech is under threat. Sexual exploitation and rape of our daughters from Islamic rape gangs is a risk. LGBTQ+ indoctrination in the education system. So we agreed on these points and said that if we all come together, with a click of a button, we can reach this country, we can reach the population, and we have a greater reach than any of the British media. So we had a vision. The vision was to have demonstrations, have celebrations, and focus on culture and identity, and give the public back a voice. We held our first demonstration. 30,000 people come on the 30th of June. On the 27th of July, I stood in Trafalgar Square in front of 100,000 people, and I felt the same as I felt in Poland, as the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And as we give people back what they've had taken from them, we've had mass immigration come into our country, we've moved out of our towns and cities, we've cared about ourselves rather than our community, which is why I admire Israel, it's why I admire the lone soldiers, because they know there's something far bigger than them and their family. Well, there's something far bigger than us and our family, which is Great Britain. And I've heard for so long about when the British lion wakes up. And I've been banging my head thinking, when is this lion going to wake up? What is happening? And then, on the 13th of September, I don't know how many of you watched our event on the 13th of September. What I want you to know, and I spoke to a lady as I went to a restaurant the other day, and the lady said that she travelled from the United States of America, she was a Jewish lady, she travelled from the United States of America and flew back to the UK for this event, because it was that important to her. Yeah? She flew back and her friends got out the Star of David, there was 2 of them, and as they'd felt alone. They'd felt on their own, and I don't blame them for feeling on their own, because you must feel under attack from every angle. Yeah? So they felt on their own, and as they walked through what would be millions of people on the streets of London, everyone was patting them on the back, everyone was saying, we're with you. And she said that she realised at that point that they're not alone, that there's actually an army of British people who are willing to stand with them. So my message is simple. Do not believe the media. Do not believe Keir Starmer. The British public stands with the British Jews. We are not going to stand by silently and watch as British patriotic Jews are driven from their homeland. We will be standing side by side with them in this fight for their survival and their future in Great Britain. I know many of you would want them to come to Israel. We don't want them to leave Britain. Now, I want to rewind a little bit and tell you a story about a friend of mine called Yisrael Shalom. When I started the English Defence League in 2009, we were quite a boisterous organisation, okay? We were young men full of adrenaline who were not going to back down. We were fed up with seeing our communities raped, fed up with seeing our daughters raped, and we started an organisation where we come together. In 2010, I was contacted by a Jewish gentleman in London who appealed to me for help. He reached out and he said that he'd lost his driving licence. And since he lost his driving licence, he had to walk the streets in Newham, which is a predominantly Muslim community, as a visible Jew. And he started realising that people were spitting at him. They were attacking him. In fact, I'm going to show you now a quick interview that I'd done with Yisrael at the time. And do you know what I said to him? What I said to him is, because his house come under attack, he was attacked violently, and I said, Yisrael, let me bring 50 men. Let me wait in your house with 50 men. And the next time they attack your house, let us be there waiting. Yisrael didn't want that. He didn't want any violence. He was a calm, peaceful man. Let me show you an interview with him, quickly now. I'm now going to show you a video from 6 months ago. Yeah, just talk me through some of the story.
Okay, well, about 5 years ago, I got rid of my car.